Good evening. My name is Sarah McNett, and I am going to be going over eating disorders. I hope to be able to inform you about the different health risks, the amount of Americans that are suffering, the different types, as well as the factors that can lead into an eating disorder. My resources and credibility is going to be coming from um, previous experience, middle school through high school, as well as the National Eating Disorders Association and the Eating Disorders Coalition. There can also be a lot of research done online through Google with the different foundations for eating disorders. Now, we have about 11 million Americans each year, men, women, all age groups, that suffer from eating disorders. Not everybody that has an eating disorder will go to get help. Generally, the people who are suffering from eating disorders will need a family member or a friend to speak to them about it so that they understand that they have an eating disorder and that they should go seek help. Eating disorders are, they have various amount of symptoms. There are a few main ones. We have anorexia nervosa, which is also known as anorexia. This is where the individual may starve themselves or eat very, very little and lose a drastic amount of weight. There is bulimia nervosa, which is also known as bulimia, where an individual may binge eat large amounts of foods, and then have self-induced vomiting in order to compensate for the binge eating. There is compulsive overeating disorder, where the individual compulsively overeats. And there is binge eating disorder, where the individual will binge eat and instead of constantly compulsively overeating. There's a difference between those two. Now, there are several health risks that are involved with eating disorders. All eating disorders can lead to death. Now, anorexia can lead to things like fainting, obviously extreme weight loss, muscle tone loss, and heart failure. Bulimia can lead to heart failure as well as having electrolyte imbalances, and the esophagus can rupture from the self-induced vomiting. Binge eating and compulsive overeating can both lead to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and eventually heart disease and death. There are a few eating disorders that do not have names. It's just a mix of symptoms. So you could have a little bit of anorexia, a little bit of bulimia, and you have an eating disorder, but you don't have necessarily one or the other. Generally, people with eating disorders don't maybe realize all of these health effects. A lot of people may look in a normal weight range but actually be suffering from an eating disorder, which again is why it's important for family and friends to help. Eating disorders usually have distorted body images, such as this photo where the woman clearly sees herself as a different size than she is, and this photo, which was taken in high school with a normal look but yet an eating disorder. Now, there are a lot of factors that go into eating disorders. They can be triggered by stress, depression, any kind of really mental illness. An eating disorder is a mental illness, and it has the highest mortality rate of all mental illnesses. Now, they can be triggered by a complete preoccupation with food, as well as possibly genetic, as some of the research has shown. Maybe if your family member has an eating disorder, you could possibly also end up having an eating disorder. I hope that these things have helped you to learn a little bit more about eating disorders and what could possibly be a factor in them, as well as the health risks and the names and the number of Americans that are suffering from them each year. Thank you and have a good evening.